my shorty, she gon' always ride me to the end.
All right, everybody. So today we have a special guest from FireProof, the sexiest new restaurant in Columbus, down in the short north. We're here with an entrepreneur who's kind of the brainchild of FireProof, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we had a little bit of fun doing this.
A little bit of fun doing it. It's my boy Adam.
What's going on, Sean?
What's going on, man?
How
First off, thank you so much.
Thank you
for doing the show. I hope you had a really good Christmas season.
It was very nice.
This is the last show of 2019, so that's why it's so special to me. But anyway, thank you for being here. Thanks for being with us, the Short North Podcast. Adam, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, so let's just get right into it. When I first saw you, and I saw you kind of moving around, and your passion for food is very obvious. Just how you handle the food. You look like a doctor that's just gotten scrubbed. He's like walking in there like, all right, let's get it done.
Right.
Where did this passion come from?
I grew up in the business, so from the time I could walk, I was in restaurants. My grandfather was in restaurants. It's just something that's always been inside of me.
Okay.
You know, I feel like this business is either a passion of yours or something that you do for a moment. You know, and for me, it's my life, it's my passion.
So you started off young in the business, like you were working in the restaurant, or it was like a family thing? Like
from the time I was born, I was in restaurants. You know, working between restaurants, and then as I started to get older, nightclubs. And, you know, I've never, between a restaurant or a nightclub, I've never been paid to be a dishwasher. Mm-hmm. I've never been paid to be a host.
But you've probably done both, though.
Definitely have done both. But beyond that, from serving to bartending to cooking to DJing to, I mean, you name it, I've done it inside of restaurants and nightclubs.
What was your first job?
My first job was as a busboy at a Jewish deli.
Really?
Yeah, my grandfather told me he could give me a job and then walked away. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but it meant that he could give me a job, but I got to go out and do it myself.
Right. So how did you feel about that? I mean, how was that experience?
I mean, it made me the person that I am, right? Like, if you want something in this world, you have to go and get it. Mm-hmm. We are in a business of pay it forward, which is what's really cool. It's getting a little bit lost with, people going to culinary school and all those kinds of things. But the reality is the best way to learn in this business is to knock on the door of a place that you aspire to be at or that you enjoy and offer your services at whatever level, to be around things, to be able to learn and grow. And people that are in this business for real will take the time out and will teach you. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I've always kind of held a passion for, and I've always had this desire to not just allow people to do things, right? Stop for a second. Why are you doing it like that? How are you doing it like that? And it's what allows you to be able to grow, mm-hmm. As well as it creates a culture for the people that work for you, and it allows them to understand that they can grow, whether they're going to be in this business for the rest of their lives or just a moment in time, that there's something that you can always learn for the rest of your life and be able to really enjoy. But the more hungry you are for knowledge, the more knowledge will come to you in this business, because people appreciate the fact that they have it, mm-hmm. and that they can give it to someone.
Now, who was that person in your life that was, I mean, I know you said your grandfather, but was there anyone else that also was kind of like a driving force behind it, or was it pretty much your grandfather and your family that got you going and headed in that direction?
So my first big job in Philadelphia took over a restaurant lounge. It was inside of an old bank. It was huge, and I was 23 years old, 24 years old, and I thought I knew something.
We all do at 23.
I thought I knew everything. That was part of the problem. He threw me the keys to the restaurant, told me the theme that he wanted. He wanted a Polynesian, Mediterranean, and Filipino restaurant with Spanish influences, which, when I say that out loud, it literally makes no sense.
That sounds like a lot of different things going on.
Makes no sense. And I was like, yeah. No problem.
I can do that.
And he's like, and I also want it to turn into the hottest bottle service lounge there is after dinner. I'm like, yeah, no problem.
So how did that turn out?
It was like the greatest experience and the worst experience of my life all wrapped into one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had this place, and everything that happened, every time I would call him, he would say the same exact thing every single time. Figure it out. And he'd hang up. So I was kind of on an island by myself with everything, right? Mm-hmm. I thought I knew something. I never dealt with an unemployment letter coming. I didn't know what to do about that. I didn't know what the cause or the effect of giving somebody unemployment or not giving them unemployment. Do I answer it, not answer it? Mm-hmm. I had no clue what to do, right? And, you know, the same way that most people learn how to swim, right? Mm-hmm. My grandfather ripped the swimmies off of me and just chucked me in the deep end. My parents freaked out, and he just said, the kid will be okay, don't worry about it. That's kind of what happened.
Him if necessary.
That's what happened to me. You know, I got thrown into the deep end. And I didn't handle it very well in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I worked like 120, 130 hours a week. And I thought that what I knew or what I pretended to know versus what somebody else didn't know was my job security.
Okay.
And the reality is that's not your job security in this business. In this business, what you can teach people and what you're willing to learn is what makes you truly valuable. And, you know, I think the light bulb went off a couple of different times for me, all within like the same week. And I really decided to kind of change the way that I go about things. Mm-hmm. I had the flu and really didn't know what to do. I had like 102 fever. There was no like going to work. It just wasn't going to happen. I tried, and it just didn't work. And I'll never forget, I got a phone call that the soda system doesn't work. Well, instead of just telling them how to change the tank for the CO2, I crawled into work and flipped a little switch and got home, and I realized just how crazy that was. Like, I could have told them how to do that. And then if I told them how to do it, then they could have done it forever. And I would never have to do that ever again. And then a couple of days later, I started feeling better. I was going through bills, and I noticed that the price of my fish was going up one day versus the next. So I called my fishmonger, and I was like, well, I don't understand this. Why do I pay one price one day, another price the other day? I would have just bought more that day. I would have been good.
Right.
He's like, Adam, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'll let you know how it fluctuates, and I'll help you out. I was like, no, I don't want to be helped. I want to know why.
Right.
And he's like, don't worry about it. You got a business to run. I'll help. I just really started thinking about that. And I'm like, well, is he going to be around forever? Is he going to be my fishmonger forever? Is he really going to help me?
Right.
I have no idea.
You got to know that kind of stuff.
So I said, I really want to learn how this all happens and what the cause and effect is. And he's like, yeah. If you really want to learn that, we start at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm done at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I showed up 3 o'clock in the morning. Different set of clothes because you don't want to wear the same clothes inside of those places that you
smell like fish.
Oh man! So he was like, "Oh, you're serious?" I'm like, "I'm serious. I want to know how you guys cut. I want to understand yields. I want to understand how the trucks come in. I want to understand how you buy. I want to understand how you do this so I can understand this business." And he was so impressed by the fact that I even showed up. And I did it for a week. And then I started to learn there's nothing wrong with working 120 hours a week. As long as you're doing it.
That's a workaholic, technically.
Not technically, it is.
It is.
But if you're doing it so you don't have to continue doing it. See, I realized my madness was that I was on a train that had no stop. Right?
Yeah.
I wasn't teaching anybody. I wasn't really learning and growing as fast as I should because I was too busy doing because I wasn't teaching anybody. Mm-hmm. So I started really realizing that if I start teaching people, that's going to free me up to start to learn. And then if I start to learn, and I start to teach people, then my 120 hours turns into 100, which turns into 80, which turns into 60, and then those 60 hours are actually much more productive. And that's really like what the catalyst of my career really was. You know, I learned so much there. I grew so much, made lifelong friends, you know, really started my career there, really understood what it would be to be in this business for the rest of your life, because it's not an easy one.
Right. From what I hear, restaurants are one of the hardest businesses for people to break into, and it seems like a lot of people that really haven't had the skill set that you have as far as just going through the ropes of, you know, being a dishwasher, learning how to manage, learning how to do the over and under on the food and everything, and just kind of get into it haphazardly, whereas, you know, you've been in it for a while and you've had some successes. What do you base those successes on?
I think it's about being realistic, right? And I think a lot of people get into this business because they think that it's fun. They think that it's a party. They think that they'll make millions of dollars. And the truth is, there are fun times, but it's a job, right? The party's for them, not for us. And you bring in millions of dollars, but you don't make millions of dollars.
Okay.
No, I mean, my grandfather's best joke was the best way to become a billionaire in the restaurant business, start out with 2 million, you'll be left with 1 million, you're still a millionaire.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You do this because you love it, because you have a passion for it. Now, a lot of people can get into this business. It's not a very difficult business to enter into. And I think that becomes the problem, right? So because it's not a difficult business to get into, people think it's not a difficult business to stay. And it's stressful, and it's hard on families, and it's hard on, you know, the people that surround you. And it's a different lifestyle. I mean, it's not a job, and you don't have a career when you're in this business. It's a lifestyle. It's a way that you live, and throughout that time, you just have to find different norms for yourself. And that's not easy.
Now, you got started in Philly, correct?
Yep.
But you also you spent some time in New York.
So I went
I
went to school in New York, and I did some really cool things with nightclubs in New York, and had a lot of fun with that, and really taught me a lot about big nightclubs, right? Nightclubs that hold 10,000, 20,000 people. And it was a whole different side of the business that I never really understood. It's hard to even understand that world. And
is it that different though? I mean, because it's still, well, maybe to the untrained eye, it's still like kind of food and beverage.
It is.
Because it's alcohol, but then you have a ton of different more personalities.
Different scales, right? Different issues, different problems. And the multiplier sometimes is not as easy, right?
When you say the multiplier?
Being in a nightclub that holds 500 people versus being in a nightclub that holds 5,000 people, right? When you boil it down to the nitty gritty and you really are good at what you do, they are the same. But when you're young and you're still learning and you don't understand, they're not the same.
Yeah, I could imagine being some differences. What were some of the things that you noticed right off the bat where you were like, okay, this is a different ballgame?
Pace, right? Like how fast things move, and how people look at you, right? And if you don't give them the answer, then you don't exist forever, right? They only give you a couple of opportunities, your staff.
Now, are you talking about your staff, or are you talking about people that you have to answer to, or?
A little bit of both, right? But more your staff more than anybody.
Hold on, let me take pictures of you guys.
Hey, wait, we're at the stop. We're literally in the middle of filming.
Oh,
yeah, we're filming. All right, it's cool. We'll edit that out.
Yeah.
Unless you want to get in here real quick and say hey. All right, so the pace.
So the pace, you know, it's when it's moving that fast, you don't have a moment to blink. You have to make a decision. Whether your decision's right or wrong, you have to stand by it. And you have to get people to believe in it. That's not easy. When it comes out of your mouth, they know whether you believe in it or not. And if you don't believe in it, they're not going to follow you, whether it's the patrons or your staff members. And you need people to follow you. It is so important. So when you run a place that holds 500 people versus 5,000, the pace goes more than 10 times. Your decisions actually have a much larger effect, and it's that much harder to kind of change your decision. So you really have to know what's going on. You have to be a person that people are going to turn to, instead of trying to run around trying to find the problems. Because when you're that fast-paced, you can't find the problems. You need people to bring them to you.
Right.
And they need to be secure in the fact that you know how to handle it. So the pace is the big difference between a small restaurant and a big restaurant, a small nightclub and a big nightclub, is how fast things are moving and how your brain can kind of take those snapshots and be able to handle that and kind of make sense of it.
Right. Now, going from a smaller shop to a larger shop, do you insulate yourself to whereas you're not so much on the ground with the every little problem thing? Or are you kind of like, no, I want to know what's going on the ground real time, and you're just kind of out there with the employees and you work?
So, I mean, there's a level of both, right? And I think that, especially these days, it is so important that you work side by side with your staff. It's something that, I preach today to all of my managers, that you have to be in the thick of it. They have to know that you can support it. The death of a manager in this business, or I guess in any business, is when an employee says, that person can't do my job. And that's a difficult thing to handle. And if you can't do their job, you need to humble yourself. And you better start learning. And there's something to that as well. But they need a leader. Everyone does. People will fight a person that leads them until the moment that they're actually helped. And then they'll realize that their life is easier without it. And that's your job as a manager, right? That's your job. That is what you need to promise employees, whether it's this industry or any other, that you will stand beside them, that you have the ability as well as the want and desire to help them.
Now, how does all of that translate coming from, I would assume, Philly, New York, and some of the other places you work have been bigger markets? How do you take that and translate it to Columbus, Ohio, which is considered like a growing and emerging market that will soon be a larger market? But how do you kind of take that scale of information and still kind of bring it here when we're in a state of flux, getting bigger?
So what's funny is that's when I was in Philadelphia the most. So Philly and Columbus have such amazing similarities when it comes to their growth and especially this industry. 15 years ago, Philadelphia was a sandwich and fries kind of town, sports bars as far as the eye can see, and there was a restaurateur that started opening up theme restaurants. And with that, it allowed other restaurateurs to be able to kind of push the envelope a little bit. We had to teach people. They had to learn why last night they went out and they had a good time and they spent $20, and then this week they need to spend $50 to go out and have a good meal and a good time. The next week now they got to spend $60 or $75. And it was a tough transition in Philadelphia, but it was really fun and really cool to be able to go through that. And I got at a point at Philadelphia that Philadelphia started to kind of tap out. It's currently one of the best food destinations in the entire country, and it's an amazing city. A lot of people think that Philly's a lot bigger than it actually is. Philly's a small city. I went back maybe a year ago and literally walked the entire city doing a cheesesteak tour with my fiance, and it was a lot of fun doing it with her. And at one point she turns to me and she's like, well, what else is there? And I'm like, we just walked the whole city.
That's it.
From one end to the other. So it's not a very big city, and that's kind of what made me want to go to Chicago, get into a much bigger market. New York is kind of the devil.
Yeah.
And we'll do that to you.
Yeah.
But Chicago allowed me to really bring myself back to my roots and get into some higher volume and get into some faster pace. Really kind of learn myself. Now in Columbus, I'm doing that same kind of growth that I did in Philadelphia, and you know, this company that I'm with, Peerless Management, we're doing some really cool things. So you know, FireProof is something that I really thought the city needed, as well as the partners in Peerless really thought that the city needed. We're having a lot of fun with it. I think it's being very well received. I think it's different.
I would agree.
You know, it's not your normal kind of restaurant.
It's probably the sexiest thing we have going on right now. This came out of nowhere, and I love it. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm here probably way too much. Yeah, but for good reason.
Yeah, and you know, I think that what we just did in Cincinnati, we just opened a restaurant called Mesa Loca. It's a modern Mexican restaurant. It's in Hyde Park, so coming kind of out of major downtown areas and going more to a neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood. It's an affluent neighborhood, but you know, when I say Mexican, a lot of people think low end.
Right.
You know, we're doing a little bit different. It's similar to FireProof, where everybody's meant to share everything. Everything goes in the middle of the table. It's definitely a sexy location, but because of it being Mexican, it's a lot more fun. You know, we did a lot of hand-painted murals inside the location, and that's really cool. And getting people beyond tacos, because I know that people think Mexican and they think tacos.
That's all they think, yeah.
But I mean, the reality is that people eat more than just tacos in Mexico.
Yeah, there's a very rich history with Mexican and Spanish-based foods.
So we're having a lot of fun with that. And we're about to open a new restaurant. We're doing construction right now down the street,
right?
For Gallup Park, which we have one in Cincinnati, and we're going to redo that kitchen and that food menu to kind of match this. If people think this is sexy, they have no idea what they're in store for. We scraped the surface here. We held ourselves back a little bit, not really knowing how much people could take or what they wanted. You know, being one of the first to really push the envelope. And now we're going to rip the envelope apart, and we're going to tear it into little pieces. And we're going to do some...
That's aggressive.
We're going to do some really fun things. We think that, you know, this city is beyond ready and has a hunger and a desire for more. And we believe in ourselves. We think that we can give it to them.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about this location specifically. You guys got a lot of different elements that I think make this place a very good spot, great location. But some of the things I noticed right off are the ambience, great lighting, great furniture. I mean, down to the wine glasses, the seating, the arrangement. It's all very nice. But one thing that I think sticks out is the staff. You have very beautiful girls that work here, very knowledgeable bartenders. The cooks are very knowledgeable. The menu is diverse, very good. I pretty much had everything on the menu, and it's good. What do you attribute that to? Are you hands-on as far as the picking of the staff?
I mean, I'm hands-on on everything.
And what goes, specifically with the staff, what goes into the mindset of you handpicking what these people are going to do, who they are, what they look like? I mean, I
grab
very well orchestrated.
I grab a lot of things that I do when it comes to staff from a guy named Danny Myers. He's kind of a godfather in this business. Kind of created this casual fine dining thing. Right, in the 90s and early 2000s, there was just fine dining or casual dining. Right, things like this didn't exist. You either went to like something like a steakhouse, like a really nice dinner, and you had to get dressed up, right? Or you went to like a sports bar. And Danny really melded the two worlds, and a lot of his theories and some books that he wrote that have become kind of Bibles in this business. You know, they ring true to me every day. And I mean, one of his biggest things is the 51% rule, right? Which is that we hire people based on their personality. 51% is about their personality. It is not about what they know, where they've worked before, what their pedigree is, right? If we're good at what we do, we can give them all that. We can pay that forward to them. What we can't do is we can't get people to be happy.
Right. You can't give them personality.
We can't give them a personality. We can't give them a want and a desire to learn, a hunger. We can't do those things, but if those things exist, I could teach you about wine. I could teach you about food. I can make it fun and exciting. I can make it so you can enjoy your day. And I think that that's what we really proved at FireProof. And our training is intense. When we first opened, I have a 100+ bottle wine list. Every employee tried every single bottle but 2. And that's just because they're highly allocated and they're hard to get.
Okay.
But they were able to try wines and champagnes that most people would never have an opportunity in their life to try. And I think that that's pretty cool. I think that that also helps them do a buy-in. It's not just about trying. It's not just about learning it. It's about that experience. That, wow, you know, I was able to try Krug, right? One of the best champagnes in the world. People don't get to try that. That's not normal, right? And that gets their interest. They tried every single food item. We do a different style of service here. And we want you to sit back and relax and enjoy yourself and be able to allow us to talk to you about the things that you like, the things that you don't like, and let us order for you, which is really different. And it's really working here and in Cincinnati. You know, and the style of dining is uncomfortable for staff members. Sometimes it's a little uncomfortable for patrons.
Why so?
People like to be in the driver's seat when they're a patron. And when you're a staff member, you get very apprehensive and you're afraid, but you can't have fear. We gave you the knowledge. Just listen to people and make them happy. It will be okay. And it works, right? When you sit down, it's not what do you want, it's what do you like? Let me give you something but a little bit different. And it's kind of the base knowledge of what FireProof really is. FireProof originally was a Spanish restaurant. And you know, we started talking and it was like, well, how many times can somebody come out with Spanish food? And then it got to, well, how about all those things that everybody loves? And that's kind of what the menu is. You know, everybody loves dumplings. So let's do dumplings. Well, let's do it the FireProof way. Do it with a local Wagyu beef, right? And step up our game a little bit. So when you have a menu that's built with things that people really enjoy and people really love, it really becomes easy to let people sit back, relax, to allow the staff member to come into the driver's seat, allow us to give you what everybody is searching for. And this word in this business that everybody continues to use, but nobody really knows what it means. And that's the word experience.
Oh, I thought you were going to say engagement.
No.
Yeah.
I think we know what that means.
I don't think half of America knows what that means, but
they're working on it.
Right. So experience.
Experience. Like, what is an experience when you go into a restaurant? All right? What does that really mean? And it means something different to everybody. And it's up to us to get to know you, to get you to trust us, so we have the ability to give you that experience.
What's the experience that he wants most of the patrons to have when coming into the restaurant for the first time?
You know, we try to open these restaurants. People thought I was crazy when I first said it. I want a social, interactive dining experience. All right? So, in order to be social, we need it to be interactive. Right? We need to give people opportunities, like I was saying, to touch their phones. Take pictures of a drink being lit on fire, a food item being lit on fire, something smoking coming through the restaurant. Not only does it give people an opportunity to touch their phones and then be able to put them down, but it gives somebody a point of talk, right? The other social aspect is everything goes in the middle of the table. Everybody gets to eat a little bit of everything. And then that gets to, oh, I really like this. Oh, have you tried this yet? Take a bite of that and put this on, right? And it becomes a lot of fun. People really get to enjoy each other's time. And, you know, I think that that's lost inside of restaurants now. It's, you go inside of restaurants and you see two people sitting there and they're both sitting on their phones. I mean, I've watched two people on a date and they're both playing games.
Right, barely even talk to each other.
You know, and the whole night changes when there's other social things around you. There's other reasons to talk. And there's this element where everything kind of goes away, right? And we give you things to talk about. We give you things to socialize about. We give you opportunities to hop on your phone. We give you these chances. We break the ice. And I think that that's difficult for people, you know? We did it when we all went out. We went out as a group of friends.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You had the hardest time with it?
Yeah.
Right?
We made everybody put their phones up, which, if anybody knows me, I'm pretty much attached at the hip to that thing. But yeah,
we all had to put our phones away.
Though.
And we had a great time. And the reality is, we didn't have a great time because we're all friends and we went out to dinner. Because we've done that before.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like a million times. Right? But that dinner was one of the best. People still talk about it. Right? Yeah. We had a great time. And the reality is we had that good of a time because we put our phones away. Right? Now, in that scenario, we had to break our own ice. Part of breaking our own ice was us putting our phones away and then talking about that, right?
Right.
And then it started rolling into like jokes and having fun and really getting to enjoy it. That's hard, right? But once we let go, it was a great time. Well, that's what we try to do for people in our restaurants. We try to break the ice, give them opportunities to talk, give them opportunities to socialize, be interactive with things, and do different things. You know, here we'll do anywhere from 2 to 3 dishes at a time that hit the table. Well, one of my servers likes a combination of these 2 items, and another server likes a combination of these 2 items, right? Very different. Well, that allows you to come in and get a different experience every time. Also allows you to try different combos. What happens when you try different combos? Oh, wow, I really like that. Oh, did you? I know maybe you're not supposed to, but put this sauce on this, and that's really good, right? It gets people talking. And that's really what we want. We want people to come out because, in my opinion, nobody's ever left a restaurant in the history of the world and said, I had the time of my life, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why you keep on coming back here, Sean, is because you have fun when you come in.
Every time.
And then we double it out with the way that we treat people, right? So you enjoy yourself when you come in, you have a great time when you come in, but then we get to know you.
Right.
And we spend a lot of time, money, and effort getting to know you. That way you become part of our family. So you really get comfortable. You allow us to do things for you. And you enjoy yourself. And to me, that is what is so important, right? You walk in this restaurant, the very first thing that's said to you is, hello. The very next thing that's said to you is, here's your Chimay, and how many JMO shots do you want?
Hey man, that's getting a little too personal.
Listen, it's you, right? It's you. Everybody knows it's you. It's in the computer that it's you.
Oh wow.
Right? That way it doesn't matter who the staff member is.
Yeah.
You can still be treated that way. And you don't have to say, well, I'm only going to go to FireProof if this person's working. Right? Because you do that with a lot of restaurants.
Right.
We try to make it that you want to come to the restaurant. And then each and every staff member can give you that different experience.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, all right. Switching gears just a little bit. because I think we had spoke about this the other night just a little bit. But where are you at on the culinary top versus home top? Where are you on that? And who would you put your money on?
Versus from culinary to...
Like a culinary top person, like as far as schooling, they went to culinary school, or a guy that grew up with his grandma cooking up family recipes and he's out there.
It's an easy thing. And the best chefs in the world will tell you this. The best restaurants are created by memories. The best food, the best experience that you can get is in the memory. Whether that's chef has intense training and has worked for some of the best chefs in the world, that chef will make a dish and it can be amazing. Now that chef can make an interpretation of the dish that their grandmother made. Now that dish is going to blow your mind. It all starts from that. And that's where I say you need to have a passion for this. It can't be a job. It can't just be something that you do. Because if it's something you do, there's something lost. There's something just not there. And the story is also what draws people. The understanding that this was my grandmother's recipe. This is what I ate when I was a little kid. Or, this is the dish that I would always ask for my birthday. Right? Those are the things that you can't screw up. You mess those up, you just destroyed your memory. You destroyed everything. You're not going to mess that dish up.
Right.
You're certainly not going to let that dish go out wrong. Right? There's something near and dear. There's something beyond the want and desire to make it correct.
So, with that being said, what was one of the first things that you learned how to cook as a kid?
One of the first things that I learned how to cook as a kid was chicken parm.
Chicken parm?
Chicken parm.
Who taught you?
Chicken parm, my grandfather, my mother. I love chicken parm when I was a kid.
Okay.
I love chicken parm today. It's hard to get good chicken parm though. You see, that's the problem, right? Mm-hmm. That memory. There could be chicken parm that's great, but that's not my great. Right?
Right.
My great's something different. My great is that memory. That place that I go back to when I make it. Right? With amazing, like perfectly cooked, piping hot pasta. To me, that's just my happy place. I really enjoy it. When you make these things, people feel it. Like I've had people tell me that I make the best pasta in the world. Trust me when I tell you, I do not make the best pasta in the world.
What makes it special though?
It's special to me.
And so that kind of like transcends into the food?
Yeah, and then when it becomes special to me, then it becomes special to somebody else. Right? Mm-hmm. And, they talk about like this cook it with love thing. That's real. There is that ingredient that you can't put your finger on.
That extra little something in there.
Is your grandmother really the best cook on the face of the planet?
I mean, mine is.
Do you see what I mean? That's my point.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
She makes everything with love for you. An ingredient that she could give you that recipe. She could give me that recipe. It won't taste the same.
Now, growing up, because I feel like food, when you think of really good food, you think of some type of pairing. How important is pairing a good wine with a good meal? And how did you learn that?
So I'm a somm. And drinking wine is important to me.
A sommelier.
Yes.
For those that don't know, he's not Somalian. It's sommelier. It's a very high degree of drinking wine. Not only a couple people ever get to.
It's important to drink wine. Wine definitely helps push forward the flavor of things. But I've never really believed in like pairing. At some level, I believe that you should drink the wine that you want to drink, and then within that category, we will try to find it or fix it for you. But if you want to drink white wine with a ribeye steak, would you like to drink white wine? I can tell you, I could give you red wine all day long. It won't matter how great that thing pairs, you're not going to like it.
Right.
Right? So I'm better off trying to find a wine or do something to a wine that will allow it to stand up to that. Right? So if you like Sauvignon Blanc and you want to eat it with a steak, I'll give you a Sauvignon Blanc at room temperature. That's super acidic, that will cut through all that fat and be able to stand up to it. And you're going to be able to enjoy that. And then you're going to enjoy it even more because they're going to explain it to you and why I did it. And the light bulb's going to go off your head. Right? So pairings are always like in the eye of the beholder. Right? Exact pairings are never good. Contrasting pairings are usually better. You have to pull something out to put it together. And if you can pull that out for the person, then they'll be able to kind of align those worlds and they'll be able to get it.
You guys are pretty extensive on your wine here. What made, because there are a ton of restaurants down here, but I think you guys are the most thorough in the selection of wine that you have, the quality of wine, and then the ability to get wines that people want. What made that aspect of the restaurant so important to you?
It was a way to kind of separate yourself. It's a way to differentiate yourself. There is a business aspect to it, I'm not going to lie. A lot of people don't realize this or know this, but you cannot drink hard alcohol while you eat.
Why
People
is that?
think that it's not enjoyable. People think they can, but they don't realize that they let their drink sit there while they eat. And then they drink their drink. But you can drink wine straight through your meal. And it's enjoyable, right? Or you can drink a beer straight through your meal and it's enjoyable. Hard alcohol, not really all that enjoyable for most people. When you're able to drink wine, you're also able to immediately give somebody an experience, right? A lot of these wines people haven't had before. There's so many different labels of wine, right? At the end of the day, no matter what vodka you drink, it's vodka.
Right.
Right? No matter how many restaurants I go to, I'll drink Kettle on the Rocks when I want. Now, depending on what restaurant I go to and what they're pouring or what bottles they have, change the kind of wine that I'm drinking, right? That's an experience. And we knew that wine was that catalyst. So in order to do that, we had to really train our staff in what wine is, why wine should be drank, and make sure that we have a wine for everybody. There are a lot of wines on the list that I don't really enjoy. They're not my flavor. But when I developed the list, it was more about, well, what does somebody want? And then it was, well, we have a price limit, or we have a flavor profile kind of missing. And how do we give that to them? How are we able to, make sure that there is something for everybody and the staff understands there's something for everybody. And the way that we do the wine list, we make it so you have to ask for help. All right? Most people order what we call the right-hand column, which means the price.
Okay.
So wine lists traditionally were always in the order of the price. You're starting to see that change throughout the industry. It's something we did with reds. It's from lightest to heaviest. And for the whites, it's from driest to sweetest. So not only does that give the person kind of an idea of where they should be, but it gives the staff an easy cheat into understanding when I start to ask you questions.
Where to place you at?
Kind of where's your little range? And the reality is, okay, you're within these 4 bottles or these 5 bottles, right? Now let's get down to some price. Okay, now we just shrunk you into 2 or 3 bottles. Let's bring the 2 or 3 bottles over to your table and talk to you about the difference between them. And you get a little bit of an experience and get a little bit of knowledge, and then you're a part of it, right? We're not just telling you what to buy or telling you what to get. We're explaining to you, and then you get to pick.
Nice.
That's okay, it happens sometimes. I'm mesmerized.
Yeah, you are slightly. All right, so going into 2020, what is going to make FireProof what I think it to be? One of the best restaurants and make you a staple down here in the shore.
You know, we're going to change some of the food items in the new year. Listening to the people, looking at what sells, what do people really want? You know, what did we think people wanted versus what do they actually want? Trying to continue to push that envelope and be a little uneasy, not take the easiest way out. We're going to make some line changes, have a little bit more fun with the cocktails. People have really enjoyed the cocktails, but we don't want it to get stale. We want to keep it fresh and exciting. We just started a new brunch.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you about that. How's that been going?
The brunch is awesome. It's a lot of fun.
I haven't got to make it down here yet, but a ton of my colleagues have told me that it's that deal.
We're just trying to stick with our theme. Give people what they want, but just a little bit different. All right, so for mimosas, I'm anti-orange juice.
Really?
Well, you can get a mimosa with orange juice everywhere on earth, right?
Right.
There's nowhere that you can't go that you can't get it. And I'm not saying that I won't give it to you. So we do mango juice, guava, and peach.
Okay, very nice.
And everybody comes in and goes, no, you know what, orange juice. And we're like, listen, if you don't like one of them,
we'll make you an orange juice.
I'll give you an orange juice.
Okay, how about your Bloody
Nobody's gone to the orange juice.
Really?
No.
All right, I'm gonna have to keep that in mind.
The Bloody Marys, we're doing a little over the top.
As people like on Home Sunday.
So our Bloody Mary actually has the same amount of caffeine as a cup of coffee and 2 times your daily dose of B12.
Very nice.
And then we had a lot of fun with the stick. We do a bunch of like traditional things like an olive and a tomato and
pieces of cheese,
some cheese, and then we do Iberico chorizo, which is really fun. But then the piece that really separates it is we put a U5 shrimp on it, which is the U means unit, so it's 5 shrimp to a pound. Your average shrimp that you see is 1620s. That's what you think is a big shrimp. So a U5 shrimp is about this big. It's like the size of someone's hand, right? It's really impressive. It's a lot of fun, and people are really enjoying it. And I think that, it shows that we are that high-end kind of fun place, and that we can be a little bit over the top.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think down here, that's a plus any way you look at it.
Yeah.
So, all right, 2020 coming up. We've got Gallup Park. We've got FireProof. We've got your Spanish spot down in
The Mexican place
in Cincinnati.
Yep. And then we got a couple more things that we can't talk about yet.
Wow.
But Peerless Management will be making some very big moves in 2020. And super excited to be a part of it. I'm really excited to have this extended family.
Well, I'm excited for you, man. This has been a great opportunity to come down and talk to you today and just get a little bit better of an understanding of what makes this restaurant so amazing. Hopefully, next couple of months, once you get stuff started up the street, we can sit down and have another interview about how amazing that place is.
I would love it.
Thank you so much for being
It's always a pleasure.
podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. You
Great
have
time.
a great day. Everybody, thank you for making 2019 amazing. It's the last podcast of the year. Hope to see you next year in 2020. Peace.
That for shorty, she gon' always ride me to the